What separates a good book cover from a bad one? This episode, a conversation with designer Cory Clubb. I'm Chris Well. Let's start the show. You're an author. Maybe you're taking the traditional route. Maybe you've chosen an independent path. Or maybe you want the best of both worlds. Wherever you want to go as a writer, DIY Author is here to help you on your journey with advice, encouragement, and practical tips. Because do it yourself doesn't have to mean do it alone. Welcome to DIY Author. I'm your host, Chris Well. Our guest this episode is Cory Clubb of Go Bold Designs. Cory creates ebook covers and print covers for both traditional and independent authors, including C.J. Lyons, Stephen James, Diane Capri, and Ted Dekker. You can see examples of his work online at gobolddesigns.com. In this conversation, we discuss the give and take of authors working with designers, why it's worth investing in your book cover, and what separates a cover that's good from one that's terrible. Here's our interview. How did you get started designing book covers?
Well, out of fandom, kind of a purely just for fun. I'd read kind of a mock story or maybe a premise of somebody who'd written a book. I thought, I want to see what I can do, just design a cover for them just for fun and send it to them. And I did some for Ted Dekker just for fun and send them to him and send them to his friend Kevin Kaiser. And Kevin contacted me and said, hey, would you mind doing a cover for Ted? And I was like, oh, it'd be great. So I did some design work for him and did kind of some promotional stuff. And then Kevin contacted me to do the final cover itself. And we ended up doing Teoth Hezbollah cover design, and I worked with Random House publishers for that, and it was a great experience.
So you're saying an entire business came out of that?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, that was kind of like the spearhead, I guess. I enjoyed just doing it on the side, and from there I kind of set out to contact some of my other author friends. They kind of, gave me some ideas and some different ways to approach people, and I approached some publishing companies just out of the blue and just kind of emailed them and said, hey, I'm looking for some clients. Are you guys interested? So a couple bites here and there and just kind of got the ball rolling. And then I work primarily with Stonehouse Publishing out of Idaho. They're pretty big as far as my biggest client. But a lot of indie publishers come through me that just want to publish it themselves and need a good professional cover.
Because, when I look at your website, it looks like you've got many authors.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of them are thriller-oriented. Is that the case, or did I just glom onto those covers?
No, I'd say that's the bulk of them are thriller covers. I've done a couple like mystery stuff, some young adult stuff. I've done some nonfiction stuff with an author from Hollywood who does biographies on people like Arnold Schwarzenegger did one, and we did one for Princess Diana and JFK. She's kind of like a re-release. She had gained the rights back and wanted to re-release it as an ebook. It's pretty interesting as far as the collective of folks who contact me. So
your services include, you do ebook covers, but you also do, somebody could buy the whole package where it's also the physical cover with the spine and all. How many of your clients, percentage-wise, I guess, want spine and all versus how many of them come to you and just say, all I want is this ebook cover? Yeah,
most of them are like independent book authors, and they contact me mostly for the ebook designs because that's kind of hot right now. Most folks who do the ebook cover usually come back and do the spine and the back cover because they've seen sales risen and they want to go ahead with the with the print book and just kind of finish things out and get I think authors like to hold the copy of the book in their hand and have that finished product. And rightly so, because they've designed it or they've worked on it for many years, and they kind of want that feeling of accomplishment. So I think that's a good thing. And I'd say it's 70% of my authors probably do the full book cover. That mostly in the end result of things. So it might be from 6 months on after the ebook has done pretty well and they enjoyed that.
What's the best way for an author to approach you about a prospective book cover?
Usually people just do contact me out of the cold, or they've been referred by some other author that's worked with me that, hey, they enjoyed it. So they either email me at gobolddesigns at gmail.com and just kind of shoot me an email, and then we kind of talk about prices. Of course, they want to know what prices are and what I can do, and I send them links and stuff like that. And if they kind of say, okay, I enjoy your style and like what you can do, I have like a 10 questionnaire for them as far as what kind of book is it going to be? What's their pen name? Is it a series based book? What are you going for, the look and feel? And I always ask kind of an interesting question. If your book could be a movie, who would direct it and who would star in it. Not necessarily to look, for actors that look like would be on the book cover, but more of like a feeling or an ambience as far as like what they're going for visually. So I think it's an interesting question. A lot of people answer that kind of excitedly, and then we kind of work the details out and then go from there.
From that point, then, what does the process look like? What are the stages between, hey, let's do a cover, and there's a book for sale?
Sure. The next step is that once we kind of go through the questionnaire, we go through a multitude of mock-ups. I usually send 3 mock-ups out to begin with, kind of get an idea of what they're looking for, and they're welcome to say, hey, you don't like any of these. Let's start from scratch, and that's okay because it's a long process, creative process, and they're not really sure, I think, sometimes as far as what they want. And then there's some times where, they like the first one and they're going with that. But most folks will go into kind of center on 1 or 2 of the designs we start with and kind of go from there. Let's change out this color or change out this font or let's go with this idea or they even kind of base it off of, I like James Patterson or Ted Decker or anything like that. I like their style or Dean Koontz or something like that. So I usually kind of base that off of what's kind of out there, but also I don't like to repeat what's out there as best I can and trying to guide them as far as a design. And I keep in mind, too, like I said, I do let them know that most of their sales are going to come from ebook sales, and folks who are looking to read their book are going to look at it at a thumbnail size. Let's try and look at it as small as possible and see how that works, too, opposed to, a print design that everybody looks through on the shelf. And what's nice about working with me as far as an independent publisher or independent artist is they can kind of do whatever they want. They have free reign. They can kind of tell me what to do and what not to do. And I'm just kind of there to just as a vessel to be able to get it done. Now, some folks like to take control of that, and some folks like to kind of sit back and just let me kind of go off and do my own thing. And that usually I haven't had any problems. I wait until they get 100% happy with what they like, even when it comes down to the shade of lipstick on the model's lips or something like that. So we've had numerous designs as far as up to 70 different designs on some things, and some as small as 2 or 3 different designs. So it's a multitude of things, and it depends on their deadline too. I work with that as well. Once that gets finished, we kind of exchange monies, and then I send off the final designs for their use. What is the criteria you would use to determine whether you and a client are a good fit? Or is there ever a case where you say, as you get into the conversation, you find out that, you really need to talk to somebody else? Sure. Most folks that contact me are really pretty ready to go. They're ready looking for a designer, looking for a cover. And I haven't really turned anybody away because I'm always excited to try something new. And even if it's a nonfiction or a fiction book, I haven't really had a bad fit, but it is a creative process. And sometimes we email back and forth, and sometimes there can be kind of some confusion, which just goes with anything. But I try to be as honest as possible when they give me feedback, just because if you're not honest, then I don't know what you want. I always tell them, make sure if like I say, if they don't like something, tell me. That's what I'm going to do for them as far as get them something they like 100%. So let's widen the lens a bit now, because some of the people that will be listening to this, they're still at a place where they're not sure if they want any designer. They're going to try to do it themselves, or they're trying to figure out how to pick a designer. Why don't we start with, if somebody said, I can just do it myself, what would be the case you would make for, that's a bad idea? Sure. It comes down to a money issue. You've written a great manuscript, you're ready to sell it, ready to put it out there for people to read. And there's some money involved as far as editing costs and, getting it converted over to ebook design for ebook readers. So there's some costs on that, and there's also costs, obviously, in hiring a designer. I think that comes up with a lot of people is like how much money I'm going to spend. So folks who just don't want to go that route or don't want to spend the money, they're still going to have to pay for something to get on their book, other than drawing a picture or something like that. That they need to purchase stock photography or something like that. Use programs to design the cover in. So there's still some money and costs there. If they don't understand all that stuff to begin with, they're going to have a lot of trip ups as far as getting it done themselves, and they can go out and steal content here and there. And there's things out there you can go and get for free too. Some photography places have like open source photography that's just widely used for anybody. Of course, again, you have to put it into a design program and put it out yourself. As far as that goes, you've sat down and written this book for the past year, let's say, and you're very focused on what's going on in the book. Okay, now you've done your work. Let me do my work. this is what I do. I design covers, and I can put myself fully into that without you having to wrap your mind around it, and you can kind of guide me where it goes because you know the story best, and I know the design best. So it's almost like two puzzle pieces put together as far as the process goes through. And I think if you hire a designer that is going to do your book cover, you're going to do much better off in sales, much better off, getting yourself out there, and it's going to look professional. Even if the story is just a small little story that you're looking to get out there, you can get something that looks professional, looks good, and get readers to pick it up.
To somebody who's trying to figure out how to look at covers and how to think about covers, what are some of the factors they need to look at in terms of this is what makes a good cover versus this is why these covers are not good?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it comes down to a placement. If you just look around and you walk through the grocery aisle, the cereal aisle, in the supermarket, you look at how people put fonts together and the colors together and things like that, and it's pleasing to the eye. It's not something you're like, oh, it doesn't look very good, unless that's what it's meant to be. But folks who need to know about color and design and putting things together as far as what's pleasing to the eye, what's going to catch readers' attention. So, I mean, and anybody can do that. Anybody can put that together and put it out there. And some folks, like I said, who don't have any design background or just looking to get something out there quick, and I would think that they would want to have something really nice to be able to showcase their book because they've worked so hard on it. I mean, why would you work so hard on building a car and then painting all these different crazy colors? Comes down to, there's a lot of work put into you writing the book and designing the book itself, and so you need to go through that process as far as doing that so that you can have a successful book.
How often do you see an indie book cover and it just makes you go, oh geez?
I've seen a few, and there's a few that have done pretty successfully as far as sales, and I don't know if that's maybe the story is just really knock your socks off, but I've seen a lot of folks who do really well and have a homemade cover and it looks okay. But I've had folks come to me and say, you know what, this is doing really well. I want to do it even better. So let me do a professional cover. It's interesting that they do that because I would think they would start with step one as far as doing that. But yeah, there's some bad ones out there that don't look good. But I try not to be too harsh, only because I understand.
What advice do you have for someone seeking out their designer?
Research. And be honest out there. There's numerous indie designers out there that specialize in certain genres. I know I've worked with some of those guys, and they're really great. And we have a nice community as far as designers go. And I email them once in a while, hey, what do you think about this or that, and get some different perspectives on things. And like I said, do your research. Go out there and see what the prices are. See if it fits up to your pricing as far as what you want to pay. I know I try to be as fair as possible as with my pricing. Just because it's not easy out there, because you could have somebody that does one for $100 and it looks okay, opposed to $500 and upwards to that higher just to get something that looks professional. You'd see on a bookshelf in Barnes & Noble. But yeah, I'd say do your research and go just look through Amazon and see what's selling. Go to the best sellers list and see what's selling, see what's working, and kind of know what you have in mind and place as far as what you want on the cover too. Your story well, that they can work on a small scale as far as kind of like a one scene design for a cover or an object or something like that can clue into your readers into your story that can work well with the design.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Cory.
Sure.
This has been DIY Author. Please visit us online at DIYauthor.com and be sure to sign up for our email newsletter. If you enjoyed this program, please consider subscribing and leaving a review. Until next time, keep writing. And remember, do it yourself doesn't have to mean do it alone.